Honorable sisters, brothers, and friends, this presentation is a copy of what I put in Wikipedia. I noticed that I was browsing in Wikipedia, they had world's most interesting man. Well, it's obvious for years that there's a resemblance. And if push came to shove, I might put forward something that would dwarf this chit-chat conversation. Movies, and in one of them they actually use my last name. Now, I want to get this done because now my main interest and challenge is the discipline of theology, the study of all beliefs. How did we get here? Why are we here? What best to do? Copy of what I put forward in Wikipedia. User talk, world's real most interesting man. One-on-one with Einstein. Basic info. Doxy is an 88 years young, semi-retired world-class scientist and inventor who today specializes in raising the state-of-the-art of discipline of theology. What are some of his world-class achievements, inventions, and contributions towards the education and improvement of man? Especially now per contributions to Wikipedia. Doxy begins with his one-on-one conference with Einstein. Regarding modernizing the Lorentz-Einstein transformation equation, x prime equals x minus vt over the square root of 1 minus v squared over c squared, little c, which is the velocity of light. Please note, from one's actual or at least philosophical viewpoint, no scientist can decree what must be the universal ultimate velocity. Basic info. One must know or at least accept that advanced concepts in theoretical mathematical physics are just that, advanced concepts in theoretical mathematical physics. All through the history of science, especially in mathematical physics, theory precedes laboratory data. Meanwhile, there is the fact that for years it has been known that regarding the emission and motion of light waves, its phase velocity and group velocity can and does exceed the velocity of light. Now, thinking futuristically, Doxy put forth to Einstein his finite particle theory, where in momentum equals mass times x velocity, p momentum equals m mass times v velocity, and dox p prime equals m prime v prime. In future years, as m prime subatomic particles are found of lesser mass, decreasing towards an infinitesimal particle, then as laboratories obtain data, and this is constantly occurring as we speak, with p prime equal to p, then v prime exceeds v, the velocity of light, put forth cordially to Einstein, not as a correction, but as a modernization. A spin-off of the finite particle theory is a theory of at least discussion concerning tachyons, instantaneous action at a distance where a change was noticed or claimed, instantaneously from t sub 0 to an infinitesimal increment of t sub 1. At that speed, at that increment of time, the velocity of light is not only theoretically exceeded, but disregarded. Therefore, the Lorentz-Einstein transformation equation was cordially modernized in April 1955 per Dox's capital C transformation equation. Capital X prime is capital X minus the quantity of V times T over the total quantity of the square root of 1 minus V squared, 1 minus the fractional quantity of V squared over capital C square root, the square root, now in letter form. X prime, capital X prime is capital X minus VT over the square root of 1 minus V squared over capital C squared. Capital C is equal to or greater than C, little c, the velocity of light. Realize said equation per mathematical physics, namely X prime equals X minus VT over the square root of 1 minus V squared over capital C squared. Capital C equal to or greater than little c, his claim that it had to be the ultimate velocity of light. Realize that that mathematical physics is breaking the light barrier, BLB. Statement. There are no references in new originating material that is especially true in new theoretical mathematical physics. Further, for non-mathematical physicists, by interrupting the reader with brackets, letters, symbols, and capital letters that are used extensively in mathematical physics that may cause confusion and or disinterest. The title is World's Real Most Interesting Man. Why lose interest in readers with disinteresting clutter? For those who can't or will not accept anything without cluttering references, yours truly repeats his true words, equations, phrases by reference and explanation in order presented. Reference 1, x prime equals x minus v t over the square root of 1 minus v squared over little c squared, c equals velocity of light. The Universe and Dr. Einstein by Lincoln Burnett, and I call him personally. I always prove whatever I present. A mentor book published by the New American Library of World Literature, Incorporated. Published by arrangement of William Sloan Associates, Incorporated. 11th printing, Chapter 6, page 54-55. Reference 2. Capital P equals MV, and capital P prime equals M prime V prime. Basic relation expressed since and by Galileo since 1632. Reference 3, capital C, transformation equation, x prime equals x minus vt over the square root of 1 minus v squared over capital C squared. Capital C is equal to or greater than little c, the velocity of light. Absolutely valid. Transformation equation, therefore, well, now I repeat it in mathematical physics. This was University of Princeton, April 5th, 1955, recorded by Einstein's secretary. Reference 4, presented by Doc C, PhD company, and a historic and philosophical lecture at the American Physical Society, APS, meeting at the University of California, Berkeley, 2003. That completes the sort of first part. Now they have world's real most interesting man highlighted, 2236, 3rd of January, 2014, UTC. Now I begin into the sort of second part. From at least 1920 to 1925, Einstein desired to present a unified field theory, UFT. He had a fascination for Maxwell's work in the field of electrodynamics, especially cognizant of the quality of his set of 11 general equations of the electromagnetic field. That's reference 1. With Einstein's extraordinary publicity, he naturally conjectured that he should put forth a UFT consisting of gravity and electromagnetism. Thus, from 1921 to 1924, the titles of his publications announced his opinion, unification of his gravity and his mathematical physics and electromagnetism. 2. In 1925, he actually began using the title Unified Field Theory. Note, there is the saying, if you love life, do not squander time, for that is what life is made of. Note, there is the saying, 4. Therefore, did Einstein ever put forth a valid unified field theory? After 35 years and many attempts, when we conferred in April 1955, the answer has to be no. 5. In my opinion, the concise summation of Einstein's publications amounting to representing the previous work were that they were previous done by H.A. Lorentz, Henry Poincaré, Linton de Pietro, Moliva Merrick, Herman Minkowski, Philip Leonard, David Hilbert, and others. True fact. Now, scrolling down, I have then where I say in future years you have to understand and accept, at least logically, and what I present is realistic research program should be under the title Advanced Concepts of Theoretical Mathematical Physics, ACTMP. Einstein generally agreed, and he withdrew his name from the popularized Lorentz-Einstein transformation equations. He would interrupt me to insist it was only Lorentz's equation. Why did Einstein fail to obtain a valid unified field theory? In my opinion, he begins properly by concentrating on and beginning with gravitation. Then he tries to combine explanations and representations in the field of study of electrodynamics with definitions and representations in the field of gravitation. Now there's the four forces: gravitational force, electromagnetic force, the strong force, and the weak force. Now, the strong force, that is the force of binding energy that binds the nuclear particles in the core of the atom. Example, the protons and neutrons. And the weak force, example of that is beta decay. The neutron becomes a proton with an electron and an antineutrino. And also there are various strange particles. I'm quoting the literature. And this I'm quoting the literature. Appear to be neglected. What should be apparent is the weak force with electrical charge can be assimilated with electromagnetic explanations or expressions. That binding energy expressed in MeVs, million electron volts, that in Einstein's time, 1905 to 1955, was also theoretically plausible, is acknowledged. Now, that left Einstein, yours truly, et al., to only unify gravitation with the other three forces. Good luck. Now, statement. I traveled from LA, USA to Royal Irish Academy of Science, Dublin, Ireland, specifically to confer with a surviving colleague of Einstein, who, with time being of the essence, summarized, quoting colleague, his unified field theory was incorrect. It took us nearly 2 years to convince him to retract the articles, because if he didn't, then they would have to start questioning his overall work that he is supposed to have originated, so he retract his incorrect unified field theory. I pointedly said, what was the critical error? The colleague said, quote, he violated the inverse square law, by substituting a type of his geometry. It was a mathematical schema that was incorrect. References. 1, Maxwell's equations. I put the URL. 2 is a list of Einstein's publications in Wikipedia, and I have that URL. 3 is the same references too. 4 is Franklin Benjamin, Poor Richard's Almanac, about Do Not Squander Time, 1732, USA. 5, Doc C. PhD Company, preparation from 5/15/54 to April 5, 1955, April 12th and April 19th, 1955, my one-on-one conferences, Advanced Concepts of Theoretical Mathematics, ACTMP at Princeton University, recorded by Einstein's secretary. I can prove anything I say. So 6A, B, C, D, E, F, G are those scientists I mentioned. And I should mention them again. Is that, of course, of Lorentz, and then Poincare, Olinto Di Pietro, Maliva Marik, Herman Minkowski, Philip Leonard, David Hilbert, and others. This is from Wikipedia, literature. I have the URL there. Now, Professor Leonard did research, and Maliva Marik, who became Einstein's wife, would listen to his lectures in class and then was a student worker with him in his research, which included the photoelectric effect. And he presented it 1 year before Einstein. Absolutely true fact. Now, quoting the literature, Einstein spent the last 30 years of his life on fruitless quest for a way to combine gravity and electromagnetism into a single theory. Now I get to reference 9. Fast forward. Present literature, the present literature appears per consensus opinion to be theo, T-O-E, it's theoretical of everything, theory of everything. I like to think that it's a name. When you say theory of everything, and you only have 4 forces, I don't think that's really representing everything. Now, they say this theory of everything, capital T, small o, capital E, TO, has supplanted old Al's and old Doc's unified field theory. I give the URL, and it says the theory of everything, the origin and fate of the universe, assembled from 7 lectures of Hawking on audio tape by Hawking, released in 1994 under the title Stephen W. Hawking, Life Works, the Cambridge Lectures. Several years ago, Stephen Hawking said that there was a 50-50 chance that an actual unification of the 4 fundamental forces, a theory of everything, would be achieved. Recently, he has become more pessimistic on this score. Please note, the above reference 9 leads yours truly into launching Part 3, One-on-One vs. S. Hawking, that should be composed and submitted to Wikipedia User Talk by January 15, 2014. The true facts of this One-on-One vs. S. Hawking will be highly interesting, because he goes from the discipline of science and is, let's say, impossible to criticize in the condition he was in, circumstances. But I have to know where he obtained this material, who he copied, how, when, why, and who was the force that fed him. Fine, have all the money and luck in the world, Stephen Hawking. But when you go into the field of theology and say there is no God, now my main interest and challenge is the discipline of theology. And Preacher Doc, now it's one-on-one, but Stephen Hawking and Preacher Doc. Thank you.